does leaving a legacy mean to you? Not necessarily what the world would say it is, or a big billboard saying your name, but what does leaving a legacy mean to you, Ian?
I think I don't really think about legacy very much, to be honest. And part of it is it's too future oriented. If I stay in the present moment and do my best, legacy will take care of itself.
End of the road, just pivot and go. Pivot and go.
I sometimes get in trouble with this with some people, but I often, I believe in original goodness. And I think sometimes people spend too much time talking about original brokenness or whatever. And I'm like, well, yeah, I get that too. Yeah, I think we're broken and beautiful. But I don't think we spend enough time recognizing, acknowledging, and celebrating our original goodness. And that's what I want the Enneagram to do, is help people see that the goodness. But now we do have to look at the shadow to get to the goodness. You know what I mean? Yeah. We can't bypass the shadow. That would be very Seven-like. We want to move through. We got to move through the discomfort of seeing how the adaptive stratagems of our personality that we learned as little people to protect ourselves don't serve us as adults. They now work against us. So again, in many ways, it's about reclaiming your personal goodness.
Yeah, I'm with that. And that's why you are a Sunny 4. You see the good in it.
That's right.
But
I do see the good.
You know what? Why not live like that? I've been burnt many times, but I'm going to keep trusting people. Like it's no fun just to think everybody's out to get you. We are good at heart. I mean, we're all broken in some ways, but we start off good. I like that. I like that a lot. And I want to know, how did you come on this journey? Were you always interested in this? I know you have a great story in your book, Road Back to You, about your grandma. Can you talk about more about how you got into just being this guru of the Enneagram? That's what I'm calling you. You're a guru. You are a guru.
I'm gonna grow my hair long, get a beard, move to Maui, and invite people to my home to do weeks of meditation at a time. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a person that was really interested in psychology, in human spirituality, in helping myself and others make sense of their suffering, the things they've been through in life, to help them move past those things. I've always been, I was a songwriter. I've been a novelist. I've been a published novelist, a best-selling memoirist. I just had a wide array of interests, but all of them, I became an Episcopal priest. I went to seminary, and that was an important part of my journey. And then I became a psychotherapist, and then I discovered the Enneagram, and that became the focus of my energies. And I sound like a 7 right now, don't I? I just did all these different things, and it sounds like I had ADHD or something.
You sound like me.
But here's the thing: all of those, vocations were in service to the same thing, which was just trying to help people understand their beauty, their goodness, understand their history, and understand who they are in relationship to the mystery of God. And if I could do that, that's a big day for me if I succeed with 1 or 2 people at doing that.
Man, you are succeeding. That's a beautiful answer. And that's what, like I said, true leadership is about. You're showing people the gifts God's given them, and you're helping them get out. I'm doing the same thing in the basketball world or the speaking world. That's what the mission we are on is created to be. So
right.
That's beautiful. I could talk to you all day, and you talked about your pivots that you've gone through and the 7 that you actually truly are. You think you're a 4, but I'm gonna convince you're a 7. As an enthusiast, I'm gonna juice you up like you're a 7. No, but I'm gonna throw you on the rapid fire hot seat as we wind down here. So this can be quick answers, short answers, whatever comes to your mind, spit it out there. So the first one I have for you: do you have a favorite mindset quote that you live by, might have on your fridge, on your mirror? Now, this is going to be a tough question for you because you have a lot of quotes, and in your book, there are some of the best quotes I have ever seen. I never saw before. So think deeply on this one. What do you got?
I have so many.
I know.
I really do have so many.
Too bad. You only get to pick one.
Oh gosh. Well, one would be, as a 4, this would be an important one. It's that no feeling is final, and I think that's really important for every person to know, right? That to maintain emotional, spiritual balance in the world, it's important to remember no feeling is final. That's really important for 7s. Because 7s typically worry that if they get stuck in a negative feeling like boredom, frustration, sadness, grief, anything like that, that they're never going to get out. And so they're like, or there's going to be no one there to support them, to help them kind of move through it. So they have to realize, guess what? No feeling is final. Let it have its way with you. It'll move on in its own time and you'll be just fine. Let it have its way. That's true for 4s for a different reason, but that's a mantra that I frequently use in my life, which is like, hey, no feeling is final. Keep emotional balance. It's all good. It's going to be okay.
I love that. I think we all can use that in our lives. So thank you. Great choice of your quote. All right. The next one I have for you is, what does leaving a legacy mean to you? Not necessarily what the world would say it is, or a big billboard saying your name, but what does leaving a legacy mean to you?
I think I don't really think about legacy very much, to be honest. And part of it is it's too future oriented. If I stay in the present moment and do my best, legacy will take care of itself. And I think a lot of people who talk about legacy, well, I'll be honest, a couple of things, okay?
Please
Number
do.
one, in some ways, thinking about legacy, it's hard for certain people groups to think about legacy because they're just thinking about getting by every day, dude.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Thinking about legacy can kind of be a privileged place. It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying we have to do our best. We got to get up every day and do our best, and just realize that the clock is ticking. The clock's ticking, and we have to be people doing our best, and then legacy is going to take care of itself.
Yes.
That's what I think.
I completely agree with you. That's a great answer. And legacy is one of those terms. I like to pivot terms to mean different things. The world will say they mean one thing, like success, failure, rich. Like, they don't necessarily mean what the world says. Same with legacy. And you're right. Focusing on the results will never leave you the results. Focusing on the process, the daily present, that's when the beauty and the legacy comes. So thank you. Great answer.
Yeah, man. Good.
And a fun one here for you. If you could invite 3 people dead or alive. Yeah. Yep. This one always gets interesting.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, you got to limit it to 3. And not just that, and you're at a dinner party. What are you cooking or postmating in for the dinner? 3 people and your dinner.
All right, hold on a second. Okay, so I got to get 3 people to invite to dinner. And what's the second half of the question?
Is what are you eating at your dinner party? This can be anything. This is like your death row meal. You're going out on top. We bring the hard questions on the rapid fire.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, gosh, who would I like to have it? You're going to have to edit the hell out of this because it's going to take me about, it's going to take
totally
about an hour
cool,
and a half.
man. You take your time. We can edit anything out, so it's perfectly fine.
Oh, it's going to take
your time.
forever for me to come over this. All right.
That's on me. I should have sent you over the pre-questions on this one.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That is on the host.
That's a tough one. Move on to the next question. Let me think about it.
Yeah, totally. If you had one piece of advice that you could give somebody who is stuck in a situation, who is like a 7 and feels so bad being stuck, what drop the mic piece of advice would you give to them to be able to make that pivot and go?
So there's a wonderful concept that a guy named St. Ignatius of Loyola, we would get Loyola University.
Yep.
Ignatius used to counsel people to do a spiritual practice called contra agere, which means do the opposite of what you normally would do, the sort of the grain or the pattern of what you normally do, and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like and make a conscious decision to go against the grain of your habitual stream of thinking, feeling, and acting, right? And, there's a Seinfeld episode where George Costanza does this, remember, where he does this thing where it's like, he just starts to do the opposite of everything he normally does on dates and stuff like that, and to see what happens. It's sort of that, but it's a little bit deeper. But I think when people get stuck, they tend to just resign to the stuckness. And I'm always like, hey, why don't you try the opposite of what normally you've been doing and just see what happens.
And
journal about it, think about it.
Yeah, and a lot of times that'll work. I tell people if the whole world's going one way, you get your bags and you sprint the other way. So do the opposite. Yeah. Great answer. And how can we all follow everything that you are doing and just fully immerse ourselves in you and your teachings and your work and the road back to you and all your books? How can we just know how can we basically stalk Ian Morgan Cron?
Well, it's not hard. You can buy my book, The Road Back to You, on Amazon or bookstores everywhere. You can go to my website, Ian Morgan Cron, IANMORGANCRON.com, and there you can learn about my Enneagram IEQ 9 assessment. You can learn about my True You course. We'll have more courses coming out shortly. Speaking dates. I have a new book coming out next December. You can follow me on all the my social channels at Ian Morgan Cron. That's pretty good, isn't it?
That's really good. I can't wait till your next book comes out. Like I was telling you, I've listened to yours 3 times and going through it the 4th time. So it's about time you get out with that next book. No.
Well, thank you.
Ian, thank you for all you do. You're an absolute light for Jesus, for showing people their true gifts and talents and abilities through the Enneagram. So you're using your tool for good. So I really appreciate you coming on and spending time with us on the Pivot and Go podcast.
David, been a pleasure, man.